Hello, welcome to Patched. I'm your host, Paul James. I'm joined by Matto Phillips. How's things, mate?
Oh, yeah. Have you ever had that feeling of deja vu?
Like we've been and done this before. At least not a full
Yeah.
episode like the famous Lost Patches episode.
No one will ever know that. No,
No, no.
people think we're just crazy.
And it's such a shame because it's probably the best piece of content
It
that's
was.
ever come
No,
from this show.
it was the best content we ever did.
Um, and no
It
one will
was
ever see it. It's a
it
disaster.
was one it was an hour and a half of just us laughing.
Yeah.
That is the truth.
At least in this case, we didn't lose the footage. We could play the footage from this if you wanted to. Don't waste your time. So to go behind the curtain, obviously it's been a little while since people have had an episode of the show. It was already a little bit weird in Nintendo Switch 2 week where we delayed the episode till later in the week to allow for the Nintendo Switch 2 Direct to play out. That happened. Then not a lot of news outside of more Nintendo Switch 2 news had popped up in the few days that we had between that episode going to air and then our normal recording and scheduled date. So we decided to take a week off. We were discussing it before. We've probably missed, one episode in like the last 300 or 1 week in the last 300.
Yeah,
So,
about that.
yeah, well-earned rest. And we come back to not a hell of a lot of news again. But we're going to make it work.
Well, I think the only news we've got all of this week or last 2 weeks is that Sony has put up the price.
They've
on
raised
their
the prices
PS5.
today,
That's
actually. Yeah,
it.
in Australia.
That's it. That's the only news that's happened in the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's been weird ever since the Switch has come out. Basically, everyone else has just gone into their shells, and this should be the time where everyone's going, "Hey, we've got all these things to say and show," and kind of the opposite's happened. So I don't know what's going on there. But anyway, this week we're going to talk about Marathon. So the new game from Bungie. They've gone and kind of cracked the can on that one. I think, well, I don't know about you actually, maybe before we even get into the, I guess, analysis of the game. Did you expect it to come out this year? I was thinking 2026 was becoming more and more
I'll be
likely.
honest, I forgot about it. Because
Okay.
we only saw like what? A 10-second trailer, God knows when. And then after that, I think Bungie went into a bit of a shitstorm and we just heard nothing until now. So I completely forgot about it because there was this other game that came out last year that, let's be honest, everyone was talking about. Not that one.
Oh.
The dumpster fire of
Oh, yeah, Concord, right.
that one. Everyone was talking about that. So let's be honest, everyone completely forgot about Marathon coming out until now. Which,
Yeah, that's fair.
like I said, I would have been same. Like, I would have thought 2026 would have been the release window for that, but clearly not.
Well, when you were hearing about kind of the state that Bungie was in, and they've had all sorts of financial issues, they've had changes of leadership, and even I'm sure at some point there was some sort of word where they were looking to target 2026 for this. It seemed like a sure thing, but all of a sudden we've got I think it's September. Well, I'm playing a trailer on the screen for anyone who's watching listening to the audio version of the show.
Yeah, if you're listening to it, it's a great watch.
Yeah,
Great.
we've got two different trailers we're going to jump to here. There's a I don't know, story one and a gameplay one. There's about 13, 15 minutes worth of stuff that we'll have playing on the screen here. And if you are tuning into this one, you've probably already caught the Marathon footage anyway. But yeah, I think it was September 23rd, I think is the date. I think that, again, Sony, like Microsoft, probably more across the GTA situation than most out there. And probably feel like this is a pretty safe date. In terms of not getting in the way or trying to get in early before GTA comes out.
It's one of those things. It could be a safe date, or they just want to try and kill it off like they've tried to do with the Horizon series and failed.
Oh. Well, do you know what they are going head to head with by launching on this day? Borderlands 4.
Oh, wow! As to say, Gearbox might actually win this time, unlike Battleborn.
Battleborn going head to head with Overwatch. Yeah, that was a decision. I'm going to double check the Marathon release date because I can't wait for this trailer to. Marathon release date 2025. I can't wait for this trailer to finish. Yeah, September 23rd. So going head to head with Borderlands. But anyway, what did you think of what you saw? So obviously this is a PvE game.
PvE or PvP?
I thought it was kind
I'm totally confused by it.
PvPvE, maybe? There's a bit of both. I mean, it's an extraction shooter at the end of the day, right? That's my understanding. We're talking about an extraction shooter. Go collect loot and then get out. And you're working in squads. So there is that kind of PvP component, but then it seems like maybe I don't know. There was some enemies I was seeing that were getting shot up that didn't have little names above them that seemed to be more maybe NPC style, or AI controlled. I'm not 100% clear, but I don't know. Yeah, it seems to be more on that siegey side more than anything else. But what did you make of it though? Starting maybe with the visual style, because that's the thing I think most people. I mean, it's got a very unique visual style. Whether you like it or not, it's a whole other thing. But it's very unique.
It's unique. I didn't really pay too much attention to it because all I was paying attention to was the shooting side of things.
Yeah.
Like, the environments looked, I don't mean to be harsh or anything, okay. They didn't wow me. But at the same time, I wasn't paying attention to the environment, which is probably a good thing. If I'm paying attention to environments and not the gameplay, there's problems. If I go, oh, that's a nice rock or something, then I think that's concerning. But the gameplay itself, it just looks like a PvP, PvE type shooter. It doesn't really wow me.
I guess the thing for me when it comes to kind of looking at how this will play is, I guess, keeping in mind the Bungie factor and the fact that they do FPS probably better than almost anyone.
You'd hope so. 3 Halo games.
All those Halo, I guess, 5 of them in the end, because you got ODST and Reach in there as well. 5 Halo games. They've done 2 Destinies and a million expansions for it. Hell, they did old Marathon back in the day as well. Which also, by the way, I'd love to see some sort of... I know you can get it on PC. I believe it was even the case. It was like on the Xbox Arcade way back in the day, the original Marathons, and you could get them there. And if people bought them back in the day, then you've still got access to them now. But I'd love to see the old Marathon games come back, because there's like a campaign to them. There's a story to them. Apparently, they're chock full of lore. That's I wouldn't mind kind of checking out those games. I know they're going to be totally different to what this version of Marathon is, but I'm kind of into the visual style of the whole thing. But as a gameplay experience, that'll be where I think I might end up checking out. I'm not 100% sure yet. It looks like it plays well, but I don't know if it's going to be a Paul game. Most likely, probably not a Paul game.
That's fair. I don't think it's going to be a Matto game either, but but it might change my mind if they show something more exhilarating than what they showed, because I saw 2 things. I saw there was a 15-minute gameplay one, and then there was another one with all content creators and media playing it, and they were not selling it very well. They're just like, oh my god, there's someone here, shoot them. It's like, yeah, you can do that in any game. You shoot people. It just feels like, to me, it feels like a game that we've all seen and played before. But
for something where you're supposed to, it projects like you're meant to be moving really fast. Like, it's kind of sci-fi. It's, for FPS, it feels like you're meant to be moving really quickly. It feels like the characters move quite slowly to handle. Now, obviously, I say feels. That's not the right word, considering I haven't actually played the game, unlike a lot of these other media and content creators have. But it just looks like they're not perhaps covering the terrain as quick as they could or should. And I don't know if that's deliberate for the sake of trailers.
So they're jogging rather than sprinting.
Yeah. I feel like they could increase the speed a little bit. Maybe multiply the movement speed by, I don't know, 1.2 or something like that. Nothing ridiculous, but just enough that makes it a little bit faster. Gets it more in line with the speed of movement of a Call of Duty, for example, which has its pros and its cons, but obviously lots of people love the breakneck speed of Call of Duty, and I think that could be handy in this case as well. In terms of, we've got a release date. We've obviously mentioned that. It's coming out September 23rd. Again, we're going back to kind of the style of it a little bit here, but is there anyone, character-wise, you're like, I could at least jump in day one and maybe give this class a go, or, I like the style of these characters. Maybe I could kind of jump into them. Is there any of that that's kind of tickling your fancy at all?
Was there classes? Maybe I didn't get that far into it, or maybe I wasn't paying attention. Or
I believe there are. I believe there are meant to be classes, but even just from the looks of them, do any of these characters, I guess their default looks kind of hold any sort of visual appeal? You're like, yeah, okay, that's a character I could click with, because you referenced Concord before, of course, and one of the big concerns for Concord was that nobody liked or cared about the characters. They didn't really have any personality. They didn't have any pop. There was no source there at all. Do you sense any more of that here?
Not really. It just seems to be more. It feels cosmetic looks than anything else because I
Yeah.
wasn't looking at details. All I saw was this black and white person with a hoodie, and then there's a yellow and green person with a hoodie. It's like, oh, okay, so it's Splatoon.
Yeah,
The
the timing's actually perfect with the trailer I'm cutting at the moment. They are just jumping through one character sitting in a seat over and over, and different cosmetics. She's just dropping into the chair over and over, and the cosmetics just keep changing. Yeah, I don't know if there's any base classes, but certainly in that regard, yeah, there's no one that I look at and go, oh, I could really get into this character. If we go now, it's a totally different type of FPS, but if we go down the Overwatch path, for example, you go, oh, there's this character and they're iconic for this reason, or there's this character and they're iconic for this reason. Something that Concord didn't have, something that this so far doesn't have. I think it's all going to be about classes, and that's it.
And also something a lot of other Battle Royale style games have done as well is just nothing.
Yeah, but if like Fortnite doesn't really have iconic characters in terms of what they provide, but then they've loaded it up with obviously skins, and you've got Spider-Man swinging around, Kratos and Chief. Nintendo, they tried to get Samus to kind of go head to head with Chief and whatnot. That didn't work out. They didn't want a bar of it, but they kind of got skins at least involved, kind of changed that up. Hell, even Helldivers brought the Hellghast from Killzone into the mix eventually. So there's that sort of thing. Because these characters at face value don't do a lot for me, and that's still potentially okay if we're going down that same sort of path as a Rainbow Six Siege sort of thing in terms of extraction shooting. Then there's not that many characters that you hear people talk about go, oh, that character's amazing. Like, they don't dive into the characters or anything like that whatsoever. It's all just been about customizing them and then the movement, the way they play. This is my heavy. It's been more about the class specifically. Like, this is the heavy, this is the sniper, this is the the person who tends to lay the bombs and those things for whatever reason. You got your medic, etc., etc. And through this trailer, I have seen people with giant shields that have kind of been maybe the heavy role. I'm looking at someone right now that's kind of a sniper, those sorts of things. It seems like they're maybe a bit of a sniper. So that's all right because the characters themselves, there's not a lot going on. They look aesthetically cool because of that style that they're going for with the game, but I don't go, oh, I want to play as that person.
Yes. Like, oh, I want to play this person or this person, or I want to be a sniper, I want to be a medic. It's just, what are you?
Yeah. I think the game's going to be going into alpha. Like, there's going to be a closed alpha, or maybe it wasn't even an open alpha. I can't remember, but it's going to be playable in some capacity pretty soon.
To the public.
Yeah, there's going to be a public one, I think. Hang on, let me.
I think they already did one for content creators and the media. I think they did a closed one.
Yeah. Playable alpha.
When is it the alpha, beta?
The marathon closed alpha begins in April. Here's how to sign up. Thanks, GameSpot. Basically, just requires you to join the marathon Discord.
Typical.
Requires you to go to the marathon Discord for a chance to get in. Blah blah blah. So they're clever on their part because they're leaning into the Discord and then going to use that to engage the community and try and keep the conversation going. But we'll see how that goes. I think it's going to be really important to get hands on as soon as possible, to make it as public and as accessible as possible, and not do it at the last minute like Concord did. What was it, like 2 weeks before release that there was the alpha? No one cared about the characters, and then they had no real time to pivot before the launch. So I think this is a good move in that respect. They've got some time to adjust. Hell, if they do need to delay and go back to the 2026 line of thinking that we were discussing before, then that's an option too. But look, I'd be keen to go hands on in that particular phase. Like, that'll be handy. Would you check it out if there was an open alpha or beta? I presume there might be down.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
An open beta.
If there was an open beta, yeah, absolutely, I'd give it a go. But that's the thing. Like, do I have to jump through loopholes? Like, oh, join our Discord and all this crap. Like, I don't want to join Discords because I'll join it, and then I'll just completely forget about it until the beta or alpha's done, and I go, oh wait, I forgot.
Yeah, pretty much.
You got to put it into the public, like the social medias and all that, and tell me, hey, it's this date. I'll be like, cool, I'll be there.
I mean, look, they've done a pretty good job in their messaging so far, and it does seem like Bungie's doing the heavy lifting here. PlayStation allowed their socials to kind of get taken over by Marathon for the week, but it seems like for the most part, Bungie's doing the heavy lifting here, and certainly like everyone knew before this past weekend that there was going to be the big Marathon showcase, and they'd had the content creators come in. It seems like they've got their beats kind of planned out, at least so far, so there's lots of interest and hype, and so it won't necessarily launch to a wet fart like what Concord did. But
I also think they've probably learnt their lesson big time with what not to do,
yes,
like with Concord as well, because from the start, let's be honest, when they showed it, what was it, some showcase last year, like a couple of months before release,
yeah,
and at that point, I looked and went, I do not care about this game, and then completely forgot about it until, like you said, 2 weeks before its release, and then it got released, and the numbers weren't great, and then what? Not even a week later, it was gone,
yeah.
never to be seen again.
What was it?
And I think,
Comparison to a carrot.
oh, it's the carrot, yes. Yes, the carrot. I'm not going to bring up the carrot again, but yes, carrot lasted longer, or a carrot lasted longer than what Concord did. But I think they've learnt probably let's just be honest, a big $400 million lesson from Concord. And I don't think, let's be honest, they don't want to do that again.
Yeah.
Or be laughed at again.
Not only was it a $400 million, loss really, but also Bungie cost them billions to bring on board as well, and like at the moment that has not worked out very well with the losses that Destiny has kind of incurred since coming aboard. It seems like Bungie maybe misled Sony a little bit with some of their numbers, or a very rosy picture for what was to come, and that wasn't quite as squeaky clean and perfect as it seemed. So Sony's looking for a win. When it comes to Bungie, and certainly it's live service stuff. They can't keep relying on Helldivers. I don't know. I haven't checked the Helldivers numbers recently.
Yeah, I've really got to go back to Helldivers 2 one of these days too. Like, I have not been back. Plus, I've got to shoot some, I don't know what others, alien things. I don't know what they're called. The new ones.
Yes.
The new induction of invasion enemies.
So when Omens of Tyranny, which was the big expansion we're talking about with Helghast from Killzone and all those things, when that dropped in December, they went, like, their numbers shot back up to concurrent about 150,000 concurrent players. That's now kind of steadied to about 40 to 50,000 concurrent players on any, like, a 24-hour peak at the moment is 46,496 players. That's pretty solid. So they seem to have kind of course corrected there. They've learnt the lessons. In the case of Concord, they have already come out and said you will not need to sign into a PlayStation Network ID. So that kind of shuts up those sort of people across Xbox and PC who don't want to have anything to do with the PlayStation brand. I think that's a very wise move when you're trying to get Bungie up and running, try and get a big live service up and running, given everything else that's gone on.
But also, too, you open it up to more countries as well.
Well, yes, you open it up to more players as well.
That's the other thing too.
Yeah. Especially on the PC side of it. So, I think there's been a lot of good decisions so far. It's just then a matter of whether they stick the landing or not. Can they?
It's all about what something Xbox has not been good with in the last few years, and that is delivery.
And marketing and messaging. And
marketing. Well, they've got the marketing part down.
High quality games. Anyway.
Yeah, high quality games. But they've got the marketing part down for already. So they've done more than what Xbox has done with, let's be honest, with all their games
pretty much
combined. Even I forgot about South by Midnight, which came out last week. Absolutely forgot about it. Because why?
They didn't message.
They do not promote it. And even you said when an ad come out, where you're like, oh, just a YouTube ad about it about 2 days before it came out. It's like, oh yeah, that game's coming out next week. You're like, oh geez, Xbox, come on.
There was more marketing, and I know Bethesda is technically a separate entity under Microsoft, but there's more marketing for Indiana Jones coming to PlayStation than there is and Forza coming to PlayStation than there was for South of Midnight. They just shit their games out for the most part. It's kind of ridiculous. That's it, people. Go check out my Indiana Jones and the Great Circle review from the PlayStation build that was provided. Thanks, Doug and the team. That review is live now for people to check out. I don't know. Like, do you think this game will succeed? If we just go simple yes or no, do you think this will be a Helldivers? Will it be a Concord? Will it be somewhere in the middle? Will it be bigger than Helldivers? Because there's plenty of room for that to occur as well, for as good as Helldivers has gone.
I don't know. It just depends on one thing: cost.
Yes.
Is it going to be?
That's the other part that we still need to discuss. So go on. You've probably created the perfect segue.
Is it going to be free to play?
No, it's not.
It's not.
They've already confirmed that.
Okay, so then they've just got to figure out: do they go a Helldivers 2 price, which is why it was, let's be honest, successful, or do they go the Concord price, which was not successful?
So what we know so far, and it's handy actually. The social team has basically gone and clarified some stuff here. So Warrior64 tweeted out saying Marathon, and this was a quote: Marathon is going to launch as a premium product, meaning players will be asked to pay full price. Then highlights the Battle Pass, 3 maps, 4th arriving shortly after launch. The Marathon Twitter account then responded to that saying Marathon will be a premium title, but Marathon will not be a full price title. They'll announce details this summer, which would be our winter. So you're right, this could be more in the Helldivers sort of mold pricing wise. Maybe it's the US $40 or, well, I mean, $60 in US would probably upset people at the moment because you go, oh, great, prices for games are going up everywhere. But yeah, maybe for us, US. Yeah.
Oh, they're upset about an $80 game. I'll cry me a river, people. Boo-hoo. I haven't seen $80 games since 2006.
I mean, we can still buy original Switch games for $80.
Well, that's true.
I mean, it's a whole other conversation. Maybe we could have actually discussed game prices last week. But anyway, the conversion, like... Oh, no, I think we discussed this maybe during the Switch 2 thing anyway. But the game's going up to $80, $90. It's like a 50% increase above the price of basically any other game that's out there. Meanwhile, in Australia, the Switch 2 game cartridges still aren't as expensive as what it costs to get a PS5 or an Xbox Series X game. So, for the first time in the world, the Australia tax hasn't fucked us. But
yet. But it is election season, so who knows?
Yeah.
Wait and see.
And Trump still needs to enforce some tariffs. But anyway, let's not get political there. Yeah, the US $40, maybe $60, $70 for us Australian dollars. That feels like where it's headed. But then they're going to need to make sure that I guess what comes out the box is fairly impressive. I would say, like, they really need to get that one right, because if it's too light on for content and you're making people pay, $60, $70, people aren't going to want to buy it.
Let's go straight to the shop it came from. That's what's going to happen. Or refunds. Who knows?
And they need to, if they want to get it going, then it's all about that, word of mouth. Getting your content creators, getting your media, all of those bodies talking about this game in ways that, I mean, they got lucky with Helldivers. They just kind of put the game out there. Codes came in, day of, or maybe a day before the game came out, so there was definitely no way you could have reviews or any comprehensive content out there. They just kind of almost crossed their fingers and hoped. I don't think they can afford, and got lucky. I don't think they can afford to cross their fingers and hope in the case of Marathon, considering everything else that's gone on. They need this to be a winner. So get your content creators, get your media all up and running, doing the work, so that when September 23rd comes along, people are seeing all this hopefully positive messaging and they go, yeah, okay, cool. I'll pay. Like, I feel like I'm going to get value for my 60, 70 Australian dollars or whatever it is. If they do that, they're halfway there.
And if not, it's Borderlands 4.
Well, yeah. I mean,
but hey, who knows if that's going to be good or not? We don't know.
I'll be playing Borderlands 4 first. There's no scenario for me where I won't be playing Borderlands 4 first. Of these two games, something else might come along and sweep them both. But Borderlands 4 is my pick there because it's more to my taste in terms of shooters. But I'll check it out. I'll happily check it out. Sony, feel free to sling me a code. Considering I've made those heinous comments and already said I'm not going to play your game, send me a code. I'll play your game. at that point.
I'll think about it if you send me a code.
Ah, shit. Dick move. Anyway.
Bribe
Yeah.
me and say yes.
I can be bought.
With a code.
With a code, because you're not going to give me anything else. Any other thoughts on all things Marathon?
Well, I'll just say good luck. You're gonna need it.
I hope they
succeed. I hope they succeed too. I don't like failure. I don't laugh at failure. I know we make fun jokes of Concord, but that's aimed at Sony, not Firewalk Studios. It's not their fault.
No.
And that's the thing. Like, people are like, oh, stop making fun of Concord. It's like, we're not making fun of Concord and the studio. We're making fun of the publisher, or Sony in this case, because they really fumbled it bad.
Yeah. And
like we said, they don't want to do that a second time around. They don't want to do an Xbox and not learn from your lessons, which, let's be honest, I don't know if they still have yet. We've still got, what are we in? Almost, yes. We've still got 7 months to go before Sony or Xbox does something stupid. There's still time.
There is still time. I'm keen to see the Xbox showcase, which has been announced for June 6th? June 8th? Xbox Games Showcase 2025. June 8th. Give me a big few days. Switch 2 and then 3 days later the Xbox Showcase where they'll then go and probably announce a whole bunch of games coming to Switch 2. So we'll see how that one plays out. Xbox got time to mess it up. Bungie has time. Sony has time to mess it up. Honestly, if you're Sony, I know a lot of things have not gone well for Bungie in the last couple of years, but I would still, in this case, go listen to Bungie. They've been there, they've done it. They did a great job with the ARG in the lead up to this, kind of teasing people and getting people out there and trying to crack the code on what was going to happen. That succeeded. They got people interested. Like, they've proven already with this initial phase of kind of marketing that perhaps they should be the ones to take lead on this. And whatever Sony says, ignore that and go with the Bungie decision. But we'll see how it all plays out. Yeah. Any other final thoughts?
No.
All right. Well, we'll wrap things up there then. We'll see what happens when Marathon comes out on September 23rd, head-to-head with Borderlands 4, and we'll see how that one plays out. If you enjoyed this episode, please be sure to like, share, and subscribe. All the buttons down below. Hit the notification bell. That way you're alerted to every new episode the moment it goes live on the channel. That includes Patched. Oh my God. We've got Let's Plays. There's shorts. A whole bunch of stuff on the YouTube channel. Make sure. Yeah, I'm way out of whack. 1 week off, and a bunch of free content in the middle, and it's
absolutely ruined it.
Make sure to check out all the gameplay stuff that's on the YouTube channel, though. Lots of big games coming out at the moment. There'll be videos around a bunch of those, I'm sure. Visit the website, player2.net.au, for reviews, previews, opinion pieces, news, features, links to the podcast series Patched, the Player 2 Pixelcast, and Dev Diary. Make sure to check out, as I've referenced before, my review of Indiana Jones and the Great Circle that's now available on PS5, and also my review of Episode 1 of Season 2 of The Last of Us, thanks to Max, or HBO, whatever you want to call them these days, for providing me access to...
Hobo Max.
Yeah.
That's not HBO.
Hopefully they continue to do that for the remainder of the season. But I checked out Episode 1 a few days in advance, and hopefully that remains the case for Episode 2 through to 7. And there's more. I'm playing other April games at the moment that I look forward to talking about in great detail as well. We've got a patched updates episode coming up in the next couple of weeks. Look forward to talking about those. We're on Patreon, patreon.com/player2au, kicking a few bucks, lower tiers early access, higher tiers monthly episode exclusives, and finally there's Twitter and socials. Matto.
Matto Phil.
Paul James Games for myself. The website is player2au. Thanks a lot for watching, and we'll see you later.